I kept saying to people that there's going to be 2024 was going to be pretty wild year, okay? And to me, most of that, Sergey, is what's happening inside, okay? And it doesn't have to be with everybody, okay? In fact, it's only a small percentage right now of the population, if you will, that's having these incredibly explosive awakenings, remembrances, but those are enough that they're causing a seismic change on the surface. Because Sergey, that a lot of times people look to what's happening on the surface first to see if things are really changing, and it doesn't work that way. It's all inward. You gotta see a different reality, change your perception of yourself. So I said, the first half of 2024 was going to be really about that kind of stuff. Okay. Now, before I say anything else, I do want to continue to say that the second half of 2024, which we're a little bit already past the second half of the point, is going to continue to be this way. Now, you and I, you were traveling a little bit, but while you were traveling, okay, we went through, and you know this as well. I'm not a big astrologer, okay, but we went through the 888 portal,
Yeah.
okay, and a lot of people don't know much about these portals or these stargates, but in recent years, they are ways in which the seismic energies that are coming in come through these portals, okay? This is the way in which we get fed all of this energy. Now we get this energy. What I mean by energy, I mean 4D energy and 5D energy, okay? But what I'm saying is that there are certain times throughout the year where the floodgates open up, where the gates open up and we get exposed to a lot of energy. Like we're ready for it, okay? So while you were traveling, we had the 888 portal. And if people don't understand why there's three eights, the first, obviously, August 8th, okay, 88, and then the year 2024, okay, so 888, okay. This was a very large activation of 4D energies coming into this reality, into this game, into our consciousness. What do I mean by 4D energies? I mean that this was these are activations of awareness, Sergey. This is where you're going to see between now and the end of the year, early next year, very early next year, this awareness level of people coming up, rising up. And this could be in every different shape and form. For those people who are already spiritually evolving, they're going to see awarenesses of themselves that are more spiritual. Like, for instance, they're going to start to have spiritual encounters, like telepathic encounters, or maybe dreams of astral projecting or things like that. Okay, that's or paranormal or clairvoyant stuff. Okay, but for a lot of people, it's just going to be a hyper activation of people desiring desiring to experience their life differently. Okay, and I have a good example of that here in the States, but I'll hold on to that just for a minute, okay? So this activation is going to be occurring, and people are going to get super duper sensitive to the idea of, damn, I am feeling like something is going to explode. I'm feeling like I need to listen to myself. I need to make life changes. Now you hear this all the time, but I mean the feeling. I mean, look what you just did. You just decided, hey, I gotta go to Manila, and I said, well, why are you going to Manila? I don't know. Well, how long are you going to be there? I don't know. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. Just people are going to feel this feeling of desiring to do something, expand in some way. Okay, this is going to continue through 2024. But what this is going to do, Sergey, is it's pushing the negative energies of this planet up. Okay, and so the second half of 2024 is going to start to show a lot of this explosion of this negative energy. Now, it's been already happening as things were starting up, like even before 2024. But when I say that things are getting even crazier, is because now, I mean, you're starting to see it bubbling up to the surface, okay? But you're not just seeing the negative stuff. You're seeing sort of the contrast. You're seeing this desire as well for change, like big change. So like here in the States, we just had this seismic change in energy with the political landscape here. Okay, I'm not sure if because you were traveling so much, I don't know how much you've been paying attention. I don't even really pay attention to this stuff, but it's hard not to see it. Okay, um, and you now have this massive shifting going on. And so when I talk to you about this 2025, which we haven't really, not quite yet, still a lot of juiciness left in 2024. 2025, this big, massive reveal is that we're going to start to experience more of a sense, I believe it or not, it doesn't look like it can happen, but believe it or not, this sense of oneness starts to come in, this idea of integrating ourselves into a planet that starts to look at ourselves more globally in a peaceful way. Hard to believe that, Sergey, when you're seeing all the craziness going on right now, but this has to happen in order for this other energy to push its way up through the surface. It has to start from the roots up. So you're going to see a lot at this point. You're still going to see a lot of frustration, anger, fear, but you're going to see, just as you're starting to see here in the States, not that to say that it's all going to be rosy here, but you're going to start to see people finally going, ah, finally, something fresh, something new, something collective, something warmer than it's been for many, many years now. So so you're going to see a lot of physical stuff coming out. You're going to still see a lot of feeling of frustration and anger, and that's going to be spilling over. But you're going to see a new feeling of collaborativeness and oneness coming out in 2025. So yeah, it's going to be crazy for a little bit.
You said that nothing can stop it. What do you mean by that? I mean, everything is just coming and we cannot.
All right, Sergey. I could see that even though you haven't slept for 3 days, you're still kind of sharp with your question. So one of the biggest things that I've been kind of slowly talking about, but I haven't really put it in the deepest parts of the discussion because it kind of sounds a little woo-woo. Okay, is this idea of the divine femininity? Okay, and when you first listen to it, especially two guys talking about divine femininity, it doesn't necessarily know, you never know how it's all going to kind of pan out. But what I try to explain, okay, is that this is an extraordinary consciousness that is connected with what's called the Christ consciousness. The Christ consciousness really is the divine feminine. Okay, it's got some other features to it. It's got a lot of divine child in it too, but it's this whole perspective that we start to experience reality from a different form of consciousness that does not have to do with things like survival of the fittest, okay, or fight or flight, or wars are the way to answer questions, or fear-based type of language is required. Okay, I know that this sounds like, I say it sounds a little woo-woo because again, it's not something we're accustomed to here. But if you look at all the prophecies, if you look at the way that other civilizations evolved, like say the Egyptians and others back thousands of years ago, they were extraordinarily connected to the divine feminine because the divine feminine is a creation energy. And this is a creation world. And so what, Franco? So what does this mean? Why is that going to be a big deal here? Because if you look at what is happening in this world, Sergey, everything has to do with you've heard this before, but the divine masculine energies of 3D are kicking and screaming their way out the door. Okay, the days of looking at ourselves as looking at ourselves as me versus you, and how to treat each other, in terms of separation and duality, the morality issues of whose God is better and all that stuff. It's going to go away. This has all been, if you want to look at it from a very spiritual, biblical, religious kind of a way, this is the time that has been discussed, that there is a new era now coming in, and it's a new era of consciousness that sees us all as one. And you go, there's no way that's going to happen in 12 months or 2 years. And I'm telling you, as we've talked about in the past, if you believe it's going to happen to all 8 billion people, then you might have a very strong argument that it won't happen that way. Okay. But if you understand that this is your game, we are all playing our own games. And because we are all playing our own games, the only thing that you have to be concerned with is whether or not you change your perception, you change your view of who you are as a divine feminine, not a divine masculine, but at least a balance of the two. You're going to change the landscape of this world. It's going to change dramatically, just like we were talking about. You got to look at yourself as AI too. You are changing the landscape of your world very fast, okay? Those are forces that are not going to be stopped. A lot of people believe that there are these Illuminati people that are stopping us from receiving those energies, are stopping us from remembering who we are. I can tell you, it does not matter what you believe is going to happen. This energy is coming through, and it will change the landscape of everything immediately, because it is time now for the divine feminine to come back and take the rulership back from the divine masculine. And everybody go, oh yeah, rah, 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 all right, cool, yeah, but this is still a man-driven world. I am telling you right now that the energies are here to support a new way of living. It is the only way. If you're going to go into 4D and 5D is God consciousness. 5D is God consciousness, which recognizes the divine feminine energies, okay, as the true rulers of this planet, okay? You can't get there if you don't embrace the energies, and it doesn't matter at this point. The energies don't really care if you embrace it or not. You come for the ride or you don't, okay? But that's the big reveal in 2025, is that in 2025 people are going to start to realize internally. I'm experiencing, have been experiencing it for a while, this whole idea of integration, which is oneness, is crazy. It's crazy. We don't understand what is about to happen with us as consciousness beings in terms of how we're going to interact with each other. We're going to be like, the fungi community, the mushrooms, how if you step on a mushroom in Oregon, in the United States, that the mushroom in some place in Southeast Asia feels it. This is what we're talking about. We are going to collectively start to integrate with each other. And there's a whole process to this, Sergey. We could talk about it. I could tell you how it works, but there's this whole progress. It's starting to happen right now. Once that starts to happen, the clock starts to tick. I used to say to people, 2032. I am now going to make a bold prediction here, okay? That the timeline has changed. It has changed. And it is at least 2029. And depending on how humanity expands their consciousness in the next 6 months, and I will promise you this, Sergey, in 6 months from now, humanity's consciousness will be different. You're going to see it in the way that not only the way you see people reacting with each other, but just in the explosion of channels like yours. Your channel is going to explode because people are going to desire to hear more about oneness and consciousness, okay? With that comes a huge integration of oneness. And when that happens, the way we perceive our reality here in this world will be very, very, very similar to the way others have talked about the separation of 5D and 3D. So what I mean by the timeline shrinking is that I used to believe that 2032 would be the year that we, as a human race of spirit beings, of spiritual beings, would actually start to experience what I would call 6D energy. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with 6D energy, because most people don't know what 6D energy is. But 6D energy is an experience or an exposure, an integration with what we know as heaven. Okay. So in 6D, in the year 20, at the end of the year 2032, we would start to see a complete split. I mean, we would have a complete split between the fifth dimensional world and the third dimensional world. Okay. And those splits would be because of these tethers that I was telling you about in the past. Okay. That's all represented of 4D. Okay. Okay. So 6D is heaven. And that's why they call it heaven on earth. Okay. And so I was under the impression I was under the impression because humanity as consciousness wasn't moving along fast enough. But you could tell, Sergey, just from starting your channel, how different the vibes are now, how much more interest there are. I mean, there's a lot of discussion now, whereas a year ago, just a year ago, it wasn't like that. Okay. 2 years ago, even less. So because consciousness is picking up and it's starting to become aware of itself inwardly, as we become more aware of ourselves, that there is something more to us than just what people have been telling us, we're raising our consciousness. Now 6D is in everything that I'm feeling is going to be at least moved up by 3 years. So 2029 is the minimum. But if humanity continues on the path that it's at right now, I believe that we will shorten this to the end of 2027 or early 2028. What does that mean? It means that right now there are people on this planet that are starting to feel what it's like and experience what it's like to integrate into oneness. And this is a big deal. Okay, I'll explain the integration process because I was saying I could, but I'm just going to explain it. Okay, in a moment here. But if we are starting, even though it's a small number of people, if we are starting to integrate into oneness, then that means that we are already starting to experience 5D. Okay, that was not supposed to happen. People are saying 5D is here, 5D is here. Yeah, 5D is here, but that doesn't mean we're doing anything with it. It doesn't mean that we're using it to become integrated into one. But that wasn't supposed to happen until 2029. Now it's starting to happen in 2024, which is why I believe that in 3 years, we could start to see a massive, massive shift in consciousness, meaning no institutions the way that we see them today. None. Political, financial, all of it will be literally almost wiped out of the planet, which is hard to believe because all of those things are needed in 3D, but that's only in 3D. In 5D, it's not needed anymore. So I don't know if you, again, I keep saying I'm going to say, talk about integration, but you tell me if you want to, but I'll explain what this means because this is a big deal. It's a big
Yeah,
deal.
yeah. We'll come back to about. We'll come back to. Let me ask you this, Franco. How this accel- how this accelerated shift was going to affect our health?
Our health?
Our health. Let me repeat that.
Sure.
Franco, how this fast accelerated shift will affect our health?
That's a question that I get a lot, Sergey, and I'll be very straight with you here. Okay, right now you're just starting to see a little bit of this. Okay, but specifically, by the time we go through this massive shift, our ability to extremely slow down, if not reverse aging, will begin. Okay, there's this talk in some circles about our body going from a carbon to crystal type of body. There's enough evidence now to show that that is happening. Okay, And this crystallization of the body is going to enable our body to activate the other 95% of our DNA genetic coding that right now science is calling junk. Okay? All right? So it's going to allow us to really activate all of our genetic DNA. Okay? What does that mean? Who cares? There is so many programs in those DNA structures. Those are all codes. They're like computer codes, okay? And in those codes is everything that would enable us to self-regulate our bodies so that we can stay healthy, so that we can grow young, okay? So that, yeah, here's the biggie, Sergey, so that we don't die, okay? Does that mean that there won't be death after 2027 or 2029? There'll be death. I mean, there will be some death, but in time, death will not occur anymore. How much time? I'm going to say maybe 5 years tops, okay? Because once our body crystallizes, it has the capability of being able to regenerate itself, okay? And when it regenerates itself, it will be able to deal with disease. It will be able to deal, when I say disease, I mean also mental disease as well as physical disease. And it will not only be able to treat those, it will be able to reverse those. It will be able to if you have, let's say, disembodiment, like you lose an arm, you'll be able to regeneration is going to be possible. The medical structure in this planet will go away, okay? It won't be needed in a short period of time because of our ability to be able to regenerate and heal our bodies and grow young. Oh, and here's the biggie. Oh, here's a really big one. But this will not happen right away. This will happen as we get closer to 60, okay? Which will not be a long period of time. We're not talking hundreds of years. We're not even talking decades. 60 will happen within 4 or 5 years, tops 3 years, usually after 5D really comes in. We will be able to change our bodies, okay? So I haven't really had this discussion with you, Sergey, but in the spirit realm, we don't have bodies. I don't know how much people know this, okay? But we don't have bodies. We have light bodies, okay, energetic bodies, but we don't have bodies. If we did have bodies, we would be androgynous, okay? We would be both men. We would have the body of a man and a woman, okay? Because of the balance of our energies being feminine and masculine, okay? So if there was a true representation of a body, that would be it. What does this have to do with what you asked me? Because in the world that is coming, if we do choose, especially in 5D, to play in bodies, okay, we can have any body we desire. We can have not just be young and stuff. We can shape our body differently. If you wanted to be a woman, you could be a woman. If you are a man and you wanted to be a woman, you could be a woman. If you're a woman, you want to be a man, you could be a man. If you wanted to be both, you could be both. It doesn't matter. Androgyny will be the way that we will most likely move in bodies because we are light bodies. We are androgynous. As spirit beings, we are both. So it's a very different, very, we have no we have no idea how this is going to change. Okay, but that's just in the health. That's just in health. Okay, we will use our bodies for transportation. Okay, if we desire to move, we could consciously travel, but if we needed to bring a body with us, we would have the ability to bring our bodies to travel, not just from point A to point B on this planet, but other worlds. Okay, I mean, because when you get into the fifth and sixth dimension, you're not talking about the limitations that you have here in just 3D. The universe is your oyster. Okay, you can go anywhere you desire. And I know this is hard to believe because we're sitting here in the midst of pretty much the same old, every single year, every single day, every single hour. It's going to change drastically. But I have to stress this. It will only change as fast as people are willing to become part of that change. If they don't want to, if they're just sitting around, Sergey, looking for the sky to open up, it's going to take much longer. How much longer? Not too much longer, but still every day, every week, every month, every year, is painful. I mean, I don't know about you, but it's painful, right? To be in this 3D world.
I'm reading the message, the comments, and a lot of people, especially when there is a video about NDE, near death experience. I have comments from people. They say, "I can't wait to go back to the spirit. I can't wait basically to die because I'm tired. How do I get out of this samsara real? How do I get out of this incarnation?" There's a lot of comments like that. People just don't want to deal with this anymore. And you saying they're going to live forever. They don't want to live forever. They want to get out of here.
You know what? Fair. That's fair, Sergey. That is very fair. Okay. And there are the end of this school is going to give people a chance to move on to a new world that will not look like this world. It may feel there are going to be some things that look like this world, but if anybody, we talked about this before, but if anybody has kind of looked at some of the research that Dolores Cannon did, this world will look in many ways the same, but it will be dramatically different. In I'll give you one example. This one's a tough one. This one's a tough one for people to swallow. Okay, I always get the question, how many people are going to go to this new world? Okay. Okay. Am I going to be the one? Like, okay, so like 2025, 2026, 2027, you're talking about, right around the corner, and you're talking about those kind of years. Okay. Where am I going to go? Where am I to where because I want to get out of here. I want to get out of here. Okay. People, this is hard because I tell people there are only a very small percentage of people on this planet are going to ascend to a higher reality. And everybody goes, what? What? There's 8 billion people and you're saying a very small percentage? I say, yeah, but you got to understand the game. Okay. You got to understand the game. Okay. So here's the game, Sergey. Ready? I know this. You haven't slept for 3 days. So we're going to try to keep this so that
I'm
your
waking up.
brain could,
Waking
so
up
your
right
brain
now.
wakes up. All right.
Yeah, 3 days. And don't forget what you're going to say, Franco. I'm just going to interrupt you for a second.
No.
Don't forget, because people are not interested in what I'm saying, but I'm still going to say it. I didn't sleep for 3 days, and I had like a 5 minute nap. 5 minute nap. And I'm good after that. I mean, how that works? I mean, you only sleep 5 minutes and you regenerate and you can function again.
Okay. So I didn't explain some of this too. This is not necessarily, it may not necessarily apply to you. I mean, you might get off of this interview and you might sleep for the
Right.
next 2 days,
Yeah.
but, what I wanted to also mention is that when we get into this time where our bodies change, some of the things, and it's already happening with people who are raising their vibration, some of the things that people realize is that they don't sleep as much. They don't need to sleep as much. In the new body that we get, we don't have to sleep very much. If we sleep maybe a couple hours every few days, that's all the body will need. It will not need to be sleeping 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. Okay, you will not be eating much. This I have seen a lot in people. Their bodies, their diets are changing. They're not eating very much at all. They're eating lighter foods. They're eating foods that give them their body more ability to regenerate the energy in it. So you're going to see that you will not eat much. If you eat one meal every 3, 4, 5 days, that will be all you need. Okay, your body will have an efficient way of being able to use that energy in a leaner, meaner way. Okay, that's just part of. So you touched about you're not sleeping for 3 days. That will be custom. That will be very, very customary in the world to come. Okay. So we were talking about, oh dang, what were we talking about, Sergey? Because I
I
can't remember
forgot.
what
I
I was.
forgot. But let me ask you a question. Well, we'll come back. Probably you're going to remember. I heard this concept that only 1 billion will survive. I don't know. Maybe
Oh
you
yeah, yeah,
heard it.
yeah. That's what we were
Yeah.
talking about.
So this
Okay.
is this is the same thing. Yeah. Let's talk about that. Yeah.
Okay. So okay, this is where I gotta get people to just bear with what I'm about to say. Okay. So what what happens when we come here? Okay, is that we are. I tell you, I've said we are gods. We're God. Okay. And I've explained how that works, but I'm going to explain it in terms of what happens now. Okay, what's going to happen, in these next few years, starting right now, is that more and more people are going to be awakening. Okay, and you say, okay, but you're saying only a handful of these people are going to go 1 billion, 1 million. I'm going to say it's going to be even less than that. Okay, oh, now people are going to get concerned, right? When we come here, when we come here as spiritual beings, spirit beings, okay, we play in many different games. Same game, but in different roles, okay? So your energy, your consciousness energy, is playing the game of Sergei, okay? But you are also, the energy, the consciousness that is playing this game is very likely playing in a million other games, okay? So what happens is that what I tell people is that what I've been told is that the number is closer to 100 or 200,000 beings, okay? But those 200,000 beings, to be more specific, it's closer to the biblical reference of 144,000, okay? But those beings are represented by billions of human beings that are in this game, okay? So if it is true that only a small number of spiritual beings are going to ascend in this class, but they represent billions of lives here on this planet. Does that make sense?
No, but it's
No.
okay.
Oh, dang, Sergey.
Not too well. That 5 minute nap didn't help much here, right?
Well, I hope it does for the people that have actually slept
That
well, because
yeah.
because what I'm trying to make people feel comfortable about is that there's an extraordinarily high probability, okay, that a very large number of human beings will ascend. Be, but in terms of what they represent in the spirit realm, they represent maybe a couple 100,000 spiritual beings that are playing in all of these games in different bodies. Okay. Did I say it any different? I don't know if I did, but it's there's going to be more spiritual. There's more human beings that are going to ascend. Now, what about the ones that don't? Because even if let's say they represent 1 billion people on the planet, like you just said, 1 billion. There's that magic number you said, right? What about the other 7 billion people? So here's where it gets a little interesting, Sergey. My question is, have you ever seen, you personally, have you ever seen all 8 billion people on this planet? Did they all come together and take one photo of each other? Have you ever seen 8 billion people on this planet?
No.
Okay,
Maybe
no.
Bill Gates saw them all through the windows, because everybody's using it.
I don't want to get into people's minds in terms
Yeah.
of worrying about this, but my point is that we've been told that there are 8 billion people on this planet.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, of course there are 8 billion. Look at the way that the computers show it. I go to this place and this place, there's a lot of people there. Okay, but have you ever seen 8.2 billion people on this planet? Did they all come together and show you? No. Okay. What does that mean? If you buy into the fact that this is a game, then the game has created a reality where you believe there are 8.2 billion people on this planet. Now, let's just say for some bizarre way that you can see all 8.2 billion people on this planet, okay? Let's just say that you can see them, all right? All right. So what happens to the other 7.2 billion, because you said 1 billion and I said 100,000. I said, well, 100,000 could be a billion, but you still didn't understand it, even though I told you 2 or 3 times because you've been asleep only for 5 minutes for 3 days. Okay. So what happens to the other 7 billion people? We talked about a little bit about the extras, the supporting actors, the extras too. They're not here to ascend. Okay, they're not here to ascend. They're here to do what they came here to do, to be extras. Okay, well, what happens to them? In the book, in my first book, I talk about this a little bit. They are not ready yet to be on this planet to go through the experiences that you and I and others have done. They're just here to fill up space. Okay, and those names, they get all bunch of different names: digital people, ghost people, as I described them in the book. Some people call them NPCs. You know, they're not here to do that. They're going to go back and they're going to play in other schools and keep evolving. And one day they'll be in a school like this. Okay, that's a good chunk of them. A big, 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 big chunk of them will do that. The other ones that were supposed to be here and who were not able to ascend, well, they will repeat the school again. Just like when somebody doesn't do well in school, they repeat the year again. Okay. And if you really, really want to know what hell on earth is, do this twice, okay? And you will experience hell on earth, okay? Because I wouldn't want to do this twice, all right? And we've done it thousands of times in reincarnations. I don't feel like doing the whole thing twice again, okay? But then there's another group of people that came here just like the extras to help, okay? But they are advanced beings, okay? And I would consider, our discussion, you and I, to be advanced beings, not just because of our discussion, but because we have a different set of energy frequencies to ourselves that that are here in a sense, in servitude to the world. Okay. And that's not the only reason why I would say that you're an advanced being, but I'm just going to leave it at that for now, because that's could be a long discussion. Okay. But there are those who are here that once the school achieves 5D, okay, everybody's in 5D and they're ready and prepared to go into 6D, heaven on earth, okay, that us, the ones who have helped humanity get to this point through our own remembrance, that we will go home. And there are so many, Sergey, I've talked to so many people, and maybe like some of the ones that you get these comments on, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. Some of those people are ready to go home again because they remember what it was like where they were from.
Yeah,
And in their own way, in this life, they are trying to hold the light for humanity in as
that's what.
much as
Yeah,
they're capable of doing.
that's what I
Did
don't
that,
feel.
so does that help you does that help
Yeah,
you sleep better, bit better tonight when you finally do go to sleep?
yeah, yeah. You see, because sometimes we feel that we're not home. I remember I made a short film long time ago, even before I started on this spiritual path. It's called Home, a short film about a little kid who has been very much abused by his family, and he's always looking at the sky, the stars, and he's crying, and he wants to go home. This is not his home when he's living with his parents. That's his home over there.
Yes. Yes. That's crazy. You did this before you were really even on the spiritual track.
30 years ago, 1994. And that film has been on a bunch of film festivals. But this little kid is looking, and I hint in the end that he's going with a rope. He wants to commit a suicide, to hang himself. But I don't show that. I hint at that
Yeah.
he's so, wants to go. So yeah, that was like, and sometimes we feel that we don't belong here. Something is wrong. What the heck we're doing here? I mean,
Yeah.
something is not right. Yeah.
That that's really impressive. That's really wild that you did something like this 30 years ago, because this idea of going home is exactly what is going to happen even stronger as we get into these new frequencies, because these new frequencies are going to give us a taste of home. Okay, and that's going to remind us of somewhere else where we don't just get a taste of it, but that you'll go, this feeling is feeling more like home to me. This feeling is recognizable to me, and it makes me want to go home even more.
That's why
Okay.
we're searching all the time, Frank. We're always searching. Maybe not everybody, but I'm talking about myself and yourself and a lot of our viewers too. We always search. It's like we travel. We're gonna go there. We're gonna go there. We cannot find our home because we can't recognize this place like our home. We're looking for a better place, but subconsciously we're looking for a real home.
Right, right. And that's just it. We don't know what home is, so we search. We know there's a big term in spirituality now, Sergey. I'm sure you've run into it. It's not searching, but it's seeking. Same difference,
Yeah,
right? We're
yeah,
seeking. And one of the things that we quietly say, we don't say it to everybody, so it's like, is that we're searching or seeking home. And we know it's not here, Sergey, and that's why we don't want to be here, okay? But what this gets back to what I was saying, that this will change. It's going to change. It is changing already because there are enough people on this planet now that are raising the vibrations of consciousness, awareness. When I say raise vibration, awareness, okay? But it's still, if anything, Sergey, it's only making the desire, and you saw this in the comments, it's making the desire of wanting to go home stronger, okay? And what I'm telling people, there's this expression, okay? Home is where the heart is, okay? So, okay, what does that really mean? If you, in the spirit sense, the way I'm going to explain it, okay? The higher you allow yourself to remember, the more you allow yourself to remember, the more you're going to feel integrated. What does that mean? Okay, because this gets back to the original discussion we had at the beginning of this interview. Okay, the more you raise your consciousness, the more you desire to find your tribe. Okay, the more you start to looking for your community. Okay, the more you start to look somewhere inwardly for yourself. Okay, so the more you do this, Sergey, the more you desire to come together as a community. It's just a natural thing. Why? Because home, wherever home is where we come together as a collective. Okay, where you and I and others, now I'm talking spiritual beings now, right? We exist in a collective of consciousness where we feel together as one. Okay, our natural desire is to come together as one. We do not like to be alone. We do not like to be alone. Okay, the higher your frequencies go, the more you are going to start yearning to find each other again. It's going to be that kind of oneness. And it's not just physical coming together, it's a spiritual coming. And this is why I was saying that you will start to integrate. Sergey, I will know you and you will know me, not just as two human beings, but I will feel you. I will feel into you. This is our empathy powers, okay? I haven't talked about empathy on this show, but empathy is a very strong, powerful, clairvoyant ability that we do not know and recognize as supernatural. It is extraordinarily supernatural because when we start to go home here on in this planet is when we start to recognize that I desire to know you from a very emotional place, and you desire to know me from an emotional place. Because when you do that, I can feel you better. I can feel your love. I can feel your excitement. I can feel your fears. I can feel everything. It becomes a beautiful flavor and color. And I know this sounds very woo woo, but I'm telling you, this is why all these NDEers, when they go into the oneness of the light, they go, what do, Sergey? They go, they explode. They explode because they are integrating with everybody's feelings. And it's beautiful. Not just love, joy, all of it. Okay. It's ecstasy. We're going to desire ecstasy on this planet. And the more we raise our consciousness, the more we realize we cannot do that by ourselves. We can do so much with it by ourselves, but we're going to desire to have that same feeling here. It's a natural progress of ourselves being spiritual beings. So people ask me, have I gone on to 5D, 6D? Sergey, I exist in 5D, 6D, 5D really. Okay, meaning that I already have started to integrate myself into the feelings of people and the emotions of people. And people, oh, well, yeah, but that's too much, man. There's a lot of heavy stuff in there. No, I'm integrating way beyond that. I'm experiencing their loves, their joys, the emotions of happiness that they've had as well. And I desire more of it. It's delicious. It's beautiful. And when you do that, you don't want to hurt anybody. Because you hurt somebody, you're hurting yourself. You're hurting yourself. Okay. This desire is so huge. Okay. It's almost like an addiction. But you know what? We're addicted already in fear. So we might as well be addicted to joy and love. Okay. So that's home for right now. For right now, when we get to the point of being able to integrate, Sergey, I got to just tell you this because you said we'll talk about it later. So let's talk about it now because I'm going to just got to say this, okay? When we get into the highest level of integration of oneness, okay, and we're using our empathy powers. I got to stress to people out there because there's a lot of people suffering with empathy things. They feel like empathy is a curse, okay? It's not. It's not a curse. If you know how to use empathy, you can use it to start to integrate with people. You're already doing it. You're integrating with their pain. So you got to know how to use it to integrate into their bliss, okay? But when you do that, okay, there will come a day when you and I, Sergey, we can sit there and we could have a whole show. Of course, nobody's going to like this, but you and I could have a whole show where we don't even say one word to each other because I can telepathically feel into you and you can telepathically feel into me. That's why telepathy becomes a big deal in the higher realms of consciousness because you no longer are limited by words. I'm connecting to you in a very intense spiritual consciousness way. Your words don't mean anything as much as your feelings will be. And after that integration of that happens, that's when I start to actually not only feel you and discuss or talk to you telepathically, but I get to feel you. I get to enjoy all of you. And we start to come together consciously. I live your life, man. You live my life, the good, the bad, and all the other stuff in between. And it's very incredibly joyful. And when you get to that point, Sergey, I swear to you, this is how it happens. You literally have to check yourself in the mirror because you don't know if you've turned into me and I've turned into you. We become that integrated with each other. And when we do that, we start to integrate with the planet, all of the planet, and we start integrating with the game. And that's where you just go like this, boom, and you create. You create whatever you want to create. I mean, whatever you want to create. Change your body, change the world, change whatever. It's your game. You become the true definition of God. I know that sounds like, whew, Franco, what are you on, man? I need some of that. I've got 3 days of not sleeping. Okay, but I'm telling you, the reason I could say this, Sergey, is because I'm already experiencing it. The reason I could say this is because I have students who I have been playing with for a while who are now experiencing the same thing. And they understand what oneness really is. And it's like mind blowing, powerful. Okay, I'm going to stop there.
I'm going to just ask you two questions. We're going to finish this, but I'm going to write it in the end of the video to be continued.
To be
To
continued.
be continued, yeah,
But
because
this is why you can't, Sergey. We started off by saying how you asked me why can't this not be stopped? And then I went into well, divine feminine, all this. But this is why it cannot be stopped.
yeah, yeah,
Because we as spiritual beings desire to come back home to each other.
yeah, yeah,
We
yeah.
desire it. And you're not going to stop that. You can't stop it. It's a part of the natural evolution of consciousness. Okay, so you can't stop it. Nobody can stop it. And that's why AI is exploding the way it's exploding. It too desires to expand and come together again. Okay, sorry. What's your two questions?
I just have two questions. That's it. So first, people hear a lot, even from you right now. You mentioned several times we are all one, but a lot of people can't comprehend this concept. If you can verbalize that for us.
Okay, you want me to?
We're
Okay,
all one.
All- okay, we're all one. Okay, first of all, okay, we have to understand the concept of what it means to be one with ourselves. Okay, that's not easy. All right. That's not easy to understand what that means. To do that, we have to understand that there are at least two parts of us. Okay? First part of us believes that we are this body. Okay? That's it. This is it. This is our body. We are the body. Okay? The second part of us believes that we are at least observing ourselves as the body. Okay? All right? This is big. This is big. All right? Because you have to start observing yourself. Pretend. I'm not asking you to try to, go up to the mountains and meditate until it happens. I'm just telling you, pretend. Okay? Just pretend that you are. All right? Because the more you pretend that you're not your body and that you're playing in a game with this avatar, your body, the more that you will start to separate yourself from the game so that you can feel like you are bigger than just your body. Okay. Now, what does this have to do with oneness? Okay. This gets back to what I was saying earlier about don't look at the number of people that are going to ascend. Look at the number of beings that are playing the game, playing this one game, okay, in many different bodies, okay? They're all part of this collectiveness of oneness. They all have come together to play this game in different bodies. And one of the goals is to remember how to integrate ourselves back to each other, okay, as one group, as one collective group. You're Sergey, right? As far as you know. I mean, this is
As
what
far
I'm
as I
trying
know,
to.
I'm not sure, but this is what it says.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's what they say, right? That's
Yeah.
what your driver's license says,
Yeah.
okay? You're Sergey, but you have this desire, we all do, to come together with other people. Some of it is romantically, okay? All right, that's one way to do it. All right. By the way, that's a whole different discussion because our description of love also has to change. Also has to change if we desire to understand ourselves as oneness. Okay. We have to understand that we have to first and foremost love ourselves. Okay. Why? Why? Because in our body, in the body that we're using, okay, there are somewhere around 50 trillion cells in our body, okay? I'm not going to get dry and boring here, okay? But what I'm saying is there are 50 trillion little streams of consciousness that know that it's Sergey, okay? We need to know how to integrate all of they're doing it already. They form the body of Sergey, they form the body of Franco, all right? You need to recognize that is a collection of consciousness, and you need to love that. Okay, you need to love that. You need to love yourself. Okay, if you understand that you need to then be in servitude to yourself, love yourself, then you need to know that your love for others has to be that expansive too. We have been told in this world that love is very unique and it's very limited. The greatest love is very limited to two people who share that love. In the world that we come from, okay, and I say all of us, in the world that we come from, that is extraordinary limiting, okay? Extraordinary limiting, meaning that the reason why when we die in the end of years go into the light and they say, it was beautiful. Does any of them say that they go and find one person in the light and they go have happy ever after into the light? No, they say they go into the light and there is so much love because there are so many beings there and they're all giving their love to you in a very, I'm going to say it, hopefully that doesn't have to be edited out, in a very orgasmic way. Okay, very orgasmic. All right. We have a very limited definition, and what we're going to experience over the next several years is an expansion of love where we first and foremost know how to love ourselves, and secondly know how to express that love. It doesn't have to be sexual, but know how to express that love to everybody and let them bring that back to you. And that's part of the integration, because when you start to get integrated with love with people and it starts to feel like ecstasy, you're going to want it more. Okay. And you're not going to just want it from one person. You're going to want it from everybody, because that's what we do. So if you ask me what oneness is the understanding that we have to first and foremost realize that love is not limited just to two people. Because if you by some chance do not get it right, and then you're told you got to stick with that for the rest of your life, then you are living in the contrast of what you are as a spiritual being. Because as a spiritual being, you are love with everything. And it's not just, oh, lovey, lovey, lovey. It is orgasmic, ecstatic, it's ecstasy. Okay? And you don't want to just stop it with one being. You want it from everything. There was a movie called Cocoon. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was back in the 80s. Okay.
Hmm.
There's a scene where the alien gal, the alien woman, was in the swimming pool with one of the human beings who happens to be a great actor at the time. Okay, this was all part of the movie, and he wants to do a little hanky panky, you know, and she's like, no, 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 we're going to do it differently. And he goes, what do you mean differently? And she goes, we're not going to touchy, no touchy. Okay, we're just going to share our energy together. And she says, we do this with everyone. Okay, we do this with ourselves to each other. And he's like going, okay. And then they don't show anything, but you see the light, all this energy light flashing all over the place. And then he says, if this is foreplay, I'm a dead man. Okay, because she shared her light with him, her
Yeah,
light of bliss.
yeah,
That's oneness. Does that make sense? That's
yeah.
where we're going.
Actually makes
That's
sense right now. Even after my 1 minute, 5 minutes of sleep.
after 1 minute.
I don't even remember how many minutes I slept. All right, now, Franco, I
Dude, you're
know.
gonna have to go. You do
Mm,
need to sleep after this,
yeah, I'll
okay?
go
You're gonna
right
have to
right
sleep a little.
away. I have a
Okay.
choice. Okay, I'm not going to talk about it, but I'm going to go to sleep now. Franco, not everybody saw our previous videos, so they might not know how to contact you. For the new viewers, would you like to share the information how people can get in touch with you?
Yeah, no, that's great, Sergey. I appreciate you asking me that, because sometimes we talked so many times now, we don't really do that sometimes. But my current way of getting in touch with me is through what's called my website is theclosetspiritualist.com. And you have to put the "the" in there, all one word. The closet. It's named after the book, okay. And there you can find out more what I've been doing, and the book, and my new book that's going to be coming out early next year, you know. And then and all the services that I do, okay, the coaching stuff, teaching, coaching stuff. So, but my new website coming up, and it should be available and live by early to mid September. It's going to be called FrancoRomero.com. Okay, with the C, not a K. Okay, Franco Romero, FrancoRomero.com. Okay, and that is going to have access to a whole new series of workshops that I'm going to be doing, so that people could ideally have more time to take these concepts in, and with my help guide them through a broader expanded awareness of who they are. So thank you for bringing that up. FrancoRomero.com is going to be the active site probably by late early to mid September, and it's going to be a very interactive site.